The comfy.
Yeah.
Rip-offs. Absolute rips.
That's probably why she picked it.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Proven concept already.
Yeah. Well, I do think I need to get myself a couple of different colored Snuggies.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I was unaware that this level of comfy and warm existed. And now I know, and there's no going back. Something about it. Something about it just keeps you warm. I don't know. Hello, good morning to Othello and the Naughty Priest and the Canadian. For the red and plaid Snuggie. Oh, yeah. The plaid Snuggie. Yeah.
You know what? I bet it's kind of discounted now because it's after the holiday season.
You think?
Maybe.
I'll just pick up one here, pick up one there, till I've got myself a full fleet of Snuggies to choose from. This isn't my flea circus. Oh, the red plaid one. They have a...
We don't have one in the Sherpa like this. They have it, I think, in the fleece one.
Gotta have the Sherpa. It's gotta be it's the Sherpa or nothing.
They got a Cheeto one, though.
Oh, shit. A flaming hot Cheeto Snuggie. Okay, all right now. Now you're speaking my language. Should states' rights as a concept go away? Yes. I mean, either that or America should balkanize. Because the idea, like being a California resident and watching California get dragged when it basically foots the bill for every other shitty state, it just doesn't work. It's not great. So I would say like either full states' rights and a fractured nation, or full federal authority and a continued United States.
But that'll kill the weed, though. It's the only reason why weed's legal is because states' rights.
Look, I'm just telling you the way that I would do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying how I would do it.
You think that people would rise up and demand if it was up to the federal government?
I don't know about rise up and demand. They just keep smoking it. Yeah. Like we always have. No matter what. What are you doing, dude? Going out? Coming in? Come on. Just run around a little bit.
You got one little tiny bit of snow left.
It's one little patch of snow. Kelly doesn't foot shit for another state. That is super false.
Where do you think California tax income dollars go?
People are just fucking wild. Like, California has the economy of the fifth largest. It's the fifth largest economy in the world. Has a larger economy on its own than France and Great Britain and Germany.
They also feed a good portion of America too.
Like California feeds the nation, California subsidizes the nation. All you have to do is look it up. You can just like plug your ears on the internet and go, nuh-uh. But that's really not how it works.
California makes more cheese than Wisconsin. California's the real cheeseheads.
California floats the rest of this nation. And if California, were given the state's rights to withhold its income tax for its own purposes, this country, there's whole states that would go belly up. Yeah, no, bruv. Wow. You're real smart. So is that what you do? You just travel around, and when people speak facts, you go, uh. Wow, the choose your own adventure zone has really taken you over, hasn't it? Hey, Caitlin, you wanna meet me on Discord? We can have a chit chat there. I know it's hard to type. You can make your nuh-uh argument if you want. Do we have a taker?
In 2022, California paid in $692 billion and took out $609 billion.
That sounds like a $90 billion subsidy for the rest of the fucking nation. I'll talk to you on Discord. I didn't invite you, though. Your derangement is real. Okay. Let me know when you've added me on Discord. It's at Paul's Ego on Discord. Let me know when you've added me, and I'll get on there, and we can talk about it. Because you're not just going to hang around in here and say nuh-uh with your ears plugged. So you can accept that. You can do it real quick and let me know that you've added me and what your name is, and I'll call you. Or you and I are done.
And that number was including COVID funding, so without COVID funding, they would have had an even bigger fucking share of the kitty.
Somebody said, Amelia, pull up a list of states that pull in more money than they put out. That should be pretty fucking simple. And yet you let people sleep on the street, use it as a public toilet. Oh, somebody watches Fox News. Somebody thinks that if you go to LA, you immediately step in a homeless turd and are robbed. Somebody watches Fox News. Somebody's been living in Kentucky their whole life.
So states most dependent on the federal government.
Yep.
Is New Mexico is the only state paying less in taxes than it receives in support.
Okay. You look like a druid, and I mean that in the most admiring way possible.
So West Virginia, they pay $1.04 for every dollar they receive.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still up. But that's also, they have way less people in West Virginia.
Of course.
And New Mexico. And Alaska's the third one. Mississippi. I guess they pay more than they take in, but they also don't give much.
Right. They're subsidized. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's like they're subsidized extensively. And where do you think that money comes from? It comes from the 5th largest economy in the world. I wouldn't set foot. Dude, trust me. Nobody in California is like sitting around hoping you visit. Trust me. There's nothing in California that needs a Caitlin who's lived in Kentucky her whole life and doesn't know shit. Like, there's nothing about California that needs you. So don't worry about it. You not ever setting foot in California doesn't matter. Y'all's governor? I don't live in California. Or do I? Still waiting for that. Still waiting for that acceptance, Caitlin. Anything? Kenfucky? Did I? Yeah, you heard that right. That's what I call it. Kenfucky is where I say somebody is from when they talk ignorant shit about a state they've never been to. People are just stoopy. Stoopy whoopy poopies. Wake and bake, yes. Yes, always. Well, maybe not. Maybe not like wake and bake, but like wake, bake. You know? Get the crust knocked out of your eyes. Get your hair brushed. Throw on your Snuggie, then bake.
Mississippi actually offered their people shit, then they would be deep in the hole. Like if they didn't have a bunch of Medicaid restrictions and shit.
Yep.
Food stamp restrictions. What are you huffing and puffing?
You saw a squirrel.
I don't know.
What about California? Another Kentucky resident. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys really think that when you get off the plane in LA, that a horde of homeless people tackle you and rob you and throw you face down into an open sewer on the ground? Is that what you think is going on in LA?
You do realize that Gavin Newsom did a giant dismantle the homeless camps campaign.
Yeah.
Like,
even before that happens. But that's what Fox News says, Paul Zigo. Fox News says. That's what Reddit told me, Paul Zigo.
The other day we talked about the most dangerous cities, and LA ain't one of them.
So what's to show for California paying out the nose in taxes? Do you feel is justified or wasted? Both. There's a justification for high taxation in California, and California is often bad about allocating those taxes. So both are true. The first time you were in California, a dude hid a gun in your backpack on the train. Things that happened. Ba-dum-ba-dum-bum-bum. I was in California 10 minutes and a dude hid a gun in my backpack on the train.
Why is that even a negative? It's a free gun.
Yeah, you got a free gun. So goofy. People make up these little fucking like fantasy things and then talk about them online like they really happened. I wonder if you people spend so much time making up bullshit that you start to believe it actually happened. Like, I wonder if that dude has told that bullshit story so many times that he actually has a memory of it, you know?
Well, like, you saw that with, like, the pathological liars that you've known. They start believing it.
I've always wondered, though, because you can't get in that person's head.
Yeah.
Do they believe it, or do they just act like they believe it, right? And is there a difference at a certain point? Really like to see Yosemite, Death Valley, and Sequoia. You can skip Death Valley. I'll be honest with you.
It's just like, let me melt for 5 minutes before I'm literally about to die.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can skip death. I mean, like, look, I love deserts. Deserts are beautiful, but if you want to see a beautiful desert in California, go to the Tehachapi Desert. It's a high desert, much more like to do, and in my opinion, just way more beautiful than Death Valley.
Death Valley is just like, I went to the hottest place.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like deserts are beautiful, so you might find some beauty there, but it's so much like Tehachapi is so much better. Like in my opinion, more to do. It's more accessible. It's closer to more shit. So like
because what are you gonna do in Death Valley after you take your selfie in front of the thermometer?
You're in Tehachapi, like central Tehachapi. You're a couple of hours from Los Angeles. You're an hour, maybe a little less than an hour from Palm Springs. You know what I mean? Like there's shit to do. You're adjacent to stuff. Death Valley is, I mean, halfway to Phoenix.
Because we drove through the Tehachapi Pass once, didn't we?
We've been through it twice. Yeah. The Vegas trip was the last time we went up through there, and I'm trying to remember when we went through before, but we did.
Yeah. Well, didn't we when we moved there? Didn't we? Or was it a different pass?
Did we come down through? Yeah. We came down through Tehachapi when we moved. Yeah. So we did. We went across the high desert and down through. Because we went through Arizona. So yeah, I was in California, and dude spent 5 hours telling me how he grew up on the mean streets of Beverly Hills. Yeah, me too, dude. Oh, don't worry. Don't keep Caitlin on the clock. She was never gonna step up. She's just a nut-er. She felt like she wanted to try and win an argument today, and so she came in here. She nut-ud 5 times. She probably got bored because we're talking about other shit. She's not the center of attention anymore, so she's probably bored out. It's the way it works, right? But yeah, no. I mean, California is beautiful. Definitely a lot of places worth seeing. Even if you're not like a nature person, even if you're just like a city slicker, there's just some beautiful urban environments in California. Wonderful places to visit. You know, like California gets a lot of flack, but you know, what you understand about California is California absorbs a lot of the problems of other places because it's so reasonable, like in terms of social services and stuff in comparison to Kentucky and Mississippi. A lot of people migrate to California, and an almost equal amount of people migrate out of California. California has a lot of turnover. It's a lot of people who try and fail to make it there. You don't know a place till you go there. True. I mean, I think that that's true to a certain extent. Yeah.
I mean, the data's enough for you to not want to go to like West Virginia or something.
I've been to West Virginia. Yeah. I actually lived in West Virginia for a month when I was a kid. I lived in Morgantown, West Virginia. It's beautiful. Like if you're into forests and stuff, it's like the thickest forests I've ever seen in my life. Like, you know, out west in the forests that I've been to before, they're kind of like this, where these big trees have space. Yeah. In West Virginia, it's trunk on trunk on trunk on trunk on trunk on. I mean, it's just like, I remember that. That's the thing I remember most. Well, I remember that, and I remember Falling Water, which I went and saw while I was living out of Morgantown, West Virginia. Falling Water is a Frank Lloyd Wright house. Mm-hmm. You've heard of the Frank Lloyd Wright? I guess he's like an American architect or whatever. Built a lot of these like Art Deco type of houses, and if you look it up, it's actually beautiful. I think it's privately owned now, though. Unfortunately, they used to do tours of it. It's called Falling Water, all one word. And Frank Lloyd Wright basically found this beautiful, idyllic place out in the woods, and he built a house around a waterfall. Yeah. So there's Falling Water, and I got to take a tour of that. That waterfall flows right through the central living room and has little bridges over it to get from one side to the other. And it pours down the back wall of the living room, through the living room and out into the river. It's fucking crazy. So I got to see that when I was there too. And that's really beautiful. I think there's good things about every state, honestly. Yeah. Like, and I do think visiting a place and like spending a lot of time in a place will change your fucking perception of a place for good or ill. Like, I think you need to figure it out.
There's a difference between it being a pretty place to visit and wanting to actually live there.
Yeah. I would, well, you know, if I had business or something in Morgantown, it wouldn't be a horrible, because it's a college town.
Yeah.
It's not a horrible place to live, but yeah, I wouldn't choose to move to that place just for the scenery or whatever. Yeah. Want the Snuggie? No. We can trade Snuggies. Okay, I love you. Brr, so cold. Well, that's how I felt about West Virginia as well. Like, there were stands of woods there that you would be hard pressed to move through because the trees are so dense and so close together. Hose for Harris? How long are you gonna hold on to that one? Is that that's just your forever one? You're just forever gonna be hose for Harris. Dudes for Dole, yeah. Kids for Carrie. Troglodytes for Trump. I love TJ's description of Gulf shrimp a la crude oil from back in the day. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Louisiana is the wildest fucking place I've ever lived. And I gotta tell you, it is definitely like not my speed. Louisiana is as far outside of my comfort zone as I've ever been in terms of like a living space, you know. You know, the people that live down there, they make it work. A lot of them love it. You know, they don't know anything else. Or the ones that do know something else, like, prefer it. So clearly there's something about Louisiana that draws a certain type of person, but that person ain't me, man. Any advice on being sober? No. Do it as little as possible. How's that? Sobriety kills. Remember that. About Gentleman for Garfield? Imagine raw dogging this fucked up timeline. I know, dude. It's the main friction between you and Louisiana. The weather. The weather is like untenable. In the summer, it is so humid that it feels like it's over 100 degrees. I mean, you will never stop sweating. Like, here's a weird thing about Louisiana. I take a lot of showers. I'm a like oftentimes shower twice a day type of dude. You get out of the shower in Louisiana, go about your day. It'll be 8 hours later. You reach up and touch your hair's still wet. It's like 80 to 90% humidity, 24/7, 365, right? And then on top of that, in the summer, when you do get a little break from the oppressive heat, It's in the form of a giant fucking hurricane. The last year that I lived in Louisiana, I was in the damage path of 4 separate storms. One of them chased me out of the state. So a few years of that was all it took for me to go like, this is not tenable. Oh, you just never stop. You're never dry in Louisiana. Like if you do anything outdoors, you're never dry. You know, even on a like reasonably not that hot day, you're still just covered in sweat because the humidity, the dew point is so fucking high. Climate made for frogs. Yeah, frogs and like reptiles and like they do good. That is one of the things about Louisiana that I miss is the leopard frogs. In the summer when the rainy season would hit, these leopard frogs would sing all night. You can go watch my old videos now. If you go back like 5 years to the Louisiana arc, you will and try and find a stream like this, but it's at night. You will hear those leopard frogs, man. They are crazy, and I love them. So I really liked that. I liked some of the creatures that lived around and the nature of it. I saw fireflies for the first time in my life. I'd never seen a firefly, like a real firefly in person, you know? So they would have fireflies and stuff like that. Lightning bugs or whatever you want to call them. I like that. I live around NOLA. Louisiana is a gas station that gets hit by hurricanes. Yeah. Well, I lived on the North Shore, so I lived in Mandeville. No, Covington. Well, I lived in both. I lived in Mandeville for a while and then Covington. And yeah, it just ain't for me, man. Now that your channel's back, I had to go back and watch the stream where you heard some woman screaming in the night. Yeah, some wild shit happens. I tremble at the thought of what we're going to do when all those swamp people have to migrate when it finally goes underwater. Reckon we your new neighbors now. Come down from Louisiana, but it's sunk into the sea, yo. Louisiana sunk into the sea. So we here now. We gonna take over. You gonna get you some crawdads now. Now the people ain't bad, you know, like Louisiana folks, they got their own character and stuff. I definitely don't feel like I fit in very well amongst them, but that doesn't mean I feel like they were like bad people. I think they're just kind of like they got a different kind of set of priorities and shit, you know? That don't make them bad, just makes them different. What's the most beautiful animal in your opinion? Most beautiful. I mean, a peacock is beautiful. I really like peacocks, honestly. Like, I would love to live in a place where I could have peafowl because they're just like so awesome. They're a little loud, though. I don't mind their loudness, but I think neighbors probably would mind. Those little, you know what? I hate to just stick on the peacock theme, but those little peacock spiders, have you ever seen those? Have you ever, go look up the peacock spider and look at their mating dance and tell me that's not tell me that ain't just like crazy, insanely beautiful. Isn't there, like, what is that bird that lives in South America that's literally rainbow colored? The bird of paradise? That's a beautiful fucking animal. A lot of it, I think, has to do with color. At least how I, judge, like, if I'm looking for the most beautiful animal. We're not talking about the cutest animal. We're talking about the most beautiful animal. I like owls quite a bit. The majestic lion, yeah. A majestic lion is pretty awesome, I think. Three cheers for a majestic lion. I don't know. There's lots of owls. You like owl? Yeah, there's an owl. I don't know if there's lots, but I definitely have big, old, tall trees. I would say that like um, the cedar that's right in the middle of my backyard has got to be at least 100 years old, at least. Um, and the trees here are very tall too, and so I will hear an owl in the night that kind of perches up there somewhere, and he'll hoot his way through the night. But I haven't been able to see him yet because I mean it's just really dense canopy above me, so. It's gonna be just gorgeous here in the summer. I'm actually pretty excited to see how this place goes crazy in the spring and the summer. What happens? Did you know the flag of Lebanon has a cedar tree symbol? Cool. You get salmon? I imagine. Yeah. I imagine. I do. I don't know. I haven't been fishing over here. You look like the album from Wake Up It's Tomorrow. Cool. I don't know what that is, but neat. I look like a thing. I love being told endlessly what I look like. Don't you? Care much for these yearly events like the Super Bowl and the Oscars? No, I don't care at all. The only way I'm caring about a Super Bowl, and I mean genuinely caring about it, is if them Raiders is in it. My Raiders go to the Super Bowl, then all of a sudden I care. But when the Raiders ain't in it, I'm not even going to watch the Super Bowl today, dog. Literally just a long hair, bearded man. I don't know why you expected anything else. When was the last Raiders Super Bowl? It was Raiders and Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers absolutely slaughterhoused the Raiders. Raiders Bucks was the last one, and that was in like the early 2000s, right? It was like 2004 maybe or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a minute. That's another reason I'm not even going to bother watching is like, I cannot stand Kendrick Lamar. I do not understand it. He sounds like he's off of helium or something. I do not like his fucking boarded up the broccoli. Hockey. Keep that horn on me, that come I see. Bop babe, oh wow, bing bing boo. Boo da boo. Jiggity bee. Check out the boo. It's like, shut up, bro. I just want to tell, like, well, how do you kids say it? Stop yapping. Why is he yapping so much? You ain't got nothing to say. You don't have to go like bing bop boo bop boo ba bee. You know what I mean? Like just fucking let the beat ride for a minute. It's like it's because he's like 5 foot tall. I mean, I'm not hating on that. You take that back. I'm just sick of it, dude. Like I can't roll to that. I'm sorry. I can't roll to that. I've got a badass system in my fucking car. Right? Other people can hear what I'm listening to. I cannot roll to Kendrick Lamar. I can't do it. I can't roll to that, dude. It's garbo, and I'm sick of it. And this halftime show is going to be lame as fuck. I mean, super duper ultra fucking lame. I like Mustard. Yeah, I think the beats are good. But I don't want to hear Kendrick Lamar on the beat. I like Mustard. Look, the beats are all right. Like I hear, a really cool hype beat, and then the dude goes, "Bing bop boom bop boom bop bing. I'ma do things you ain't never seen. Bing bop boom bop boo." And I'm just like, way to fucking poop all over a beat. I like Mustard. Mustard on that beat, oh. He has a lot more to say than that. Oh, sure. I'm talking about the tone of voice though. And the crazy amount of filler that he uses. I just don't like it, dude. I just want to hit dude with a cattle prod and put some energy in his stuff. Who's the best rapper? All time. All time greatest rapper? I'll answer with a whistle. If you know, you know. They need to get Andre 3000 performing his flute album. Yeah. I'd rather listen to that. Like I would rather listen to that. Bing bop boom bop bing. Easy. Slick Rick, aka the Ruler Rick, aka MC Ricky D, I think is the most influential, greatest rapper of all time. I think without Slick Rick, you don't have modern rap culture. I think that he is, for good or for ill, however you feel about it, responsible for the style and aesthetic of rap. Is being an influencer a real job? I mean, I guess. Yeah. Dude, there's no way that so many people are into Kendrick Lamar if there's nothing there. I just don't, I don't vibe with his shit. Like, that's the straight truth. If you do, I'm not trying to hate. You know what I mean? There's plenty of shit that I listen to that you probably wouldn't be into. That's cool. You know, different strokes for different folks. I'm just not like, you know, we were talking about the Super Bowl and somebody was like, oh, Kendrick's going to be the halftime. And I was like, another reason I'm not going to bother. You know, I'm just not a Kendrick guy. Doesn't do it for me. I think that, like, because you know, like, I came of age in the 90s when people were like serious behind rap beef and stuff. The whole beef between him and Drake was like the saddest, lamest, gayest beef ever, dude. Like the most pussy beef I think that's ever existed. And that like really colored my perception of both of those artists. I think they are both a pair of fucking pussies, studio gangsters. You know what I mean? They like to rap about gunplay and stuff, but they're both like not from that. And I don't have a whole lot of respect for that. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to rap about gunplay and stuff if you're doing it like hyper ironically or if you're from that, right? But like, if you're just like trying to act like you're hard, but you're softer than a muffin with two fucking afro puffs on your hair and wearing a skirt or whatever, running around Coachella, like, you know what I mean? I can't take you seriously. And that beef was just awful between those two, man. It was just such garbo. Kendrick is not from that. Kendrick Lamar does not have a rap sheet as long as your arm. He was not out shooting people. Okay? He just, go ahead and fucking contradict me. Kendrick Lamar is not a gangster. In the same way that Ice Cube is not a gangster. You're so wrong about Kendrick's life. Oh, am I? Okay, well, fucking correct me. What kind of dirt has Kendrick Lamar done? What set is he affiliated with? And what's his rap sheet? He honestly never said he was, except for in They Not Like Us and shit, with the gunplay and the gangsta shit, right? It's the difference between a gangster and a studio gangster. Gangster Dresta in 187 Dre Day says, see, I did dirt and it worked, and many people can vouch that. And since I got strength, I've got the right to rap about that. So that's kind of like the definitional line as I understand it, right? Is a studio gangster is a dude that likes to master the bang and the slang and the mental of people in Compton watching South Central. Never ever once have you ran with the turf. Yet every time you chirp, you claim you used to do the dirt. Well, tell me who's a witness to your fucking word. So you never had no business, so save the drama, jerk. The beef is a lot deeper than shooter, pop stuff. It's about hip hop and rap culture. Kendrick never claims to be hard in his music. It's always conscious rap shit. Ooh. Play that funky music, dude. There's one line about Drake disrespecting Tupac in Oakland is going to be the last stop for Drake, yeah. So you hate Johnny Cash because he never shot a man in Reno? No. No, I don't. I don't hate Kendrick Lamar because he's a studio gangster. It's just one of the things that colors my opinion of him. I hate Kendrick Lamar for the reasons that I stated. I think I just fucking hit the helium balloon delivery, like lazy ass delivery style is boring as fuck. Yeah, Johnny Cash never wrote a beef song. I'm gonna shoot you, Willie Nelson, in the face. You know what I mean? Like, your comparison is full-blown retarded. But I wouldn't expect you to understand that. I think you're a one-layer thinker. Something tells me you don't peel back many layers of the onion when you go to talk about something, do you? Willie Nelson's a bitch and I'm gonna kill his ass. And if he ever comes to Oakland, he's dead. Yeah, that's my favorite Willie Nelson, or my favorite Johnny Cash song. And then Willie was like, you ain't gonna do shit, you stupid bitch. You remember that one? I like that one too. Man, just delete this account, bro. If I came in here with something that fucking dumb, bro, I would never, ever, ever post again, bro. Just go change your name. Wu-Tang or Outkast? Wu-Tang. And yes, I can name all the members of Wu-Tang. If you can't name all the members of Wu-Tang, I don't want to speak to you. The RZA, the Jizza, Old Dirty Bastard, Inspector Deck, Raekwon the Chef, Ghostface Killer, and the Method Man. Did I miss anybody? I don't think I did. Nice scenery in the background. Thanks. Tribe Called Quest. No, I'm not a hard copy guy. Hey, your super chats work? They do. Rap beef doesn't always have to be about violence. Jay-Z and Nas is another great example of a rap beef about the philosophy of rap and hip-hop culture. The Drake and Lamar beef is similar. What? Who said, number one, that rap beef always had to be about violence? I'm criticizing a softy, a muffin soft dude like Kendrick Lamar, and a muffin soft dude like Drake rapping about gunplay and don't come to my city and shit. We're talking specifics, and you're trying to bring the entire history of hip hop beef into it. When did Kendrick claim he was a gangster? Doesn't he have a fucking song where he's like, I'm a gangster. I'm strapped up. I'm a gangster. I walk around the street strapped up. I'm a gangster. Like, I don't know the fucking... Doesn't he have a whole song about that? Calling someone muffin soft when you're sat there in a snooty is outrageous behavior. Okay, fair enough. I'm just saying, though, dude, I don't pretend I'm not muffin soft. You know? I'm not out here going like, I'm gonna squabble up. I'm not claiming gang affiliation or pretending I'm click clack street or dipped down in the cut or whatever with my homies looking to do some dirt in the street or slinging the packs or nothing. You know, I'm not claiming shit that I don't do. Is funk an earlier genre of music than rap? I mean, funk and rap have a pretty close etymology. I would say that Kendrick is much less of a softie than Drake, though. Kenny grew up around Pyrus and saw his first murder at 5, allegedly. Drake grew up as the... I know. I know Drake is a little fucking Nepo baby. I know this. And I know that Kendrick Lamar grew up poor, but he didn't grow up in a gang. His dad was an ex-gang member, if I remember properly. His parents kept him on the straight and narrow, and that's that. What's the greatest meme you ever seen, Paul? The greatest meme? The Numa Numa guy, dude. The Numa Numa guy. Or All Your Base Are Belong to Us. Those are the 2 greatest memes of all time. Where's the wise timber chair? He's downstairs. He's on the lower deck. That'll be where I sit in the summer and the spring. But wintertime, I'm up here. Somebody's got good taste in music. Uh-oh, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a music connoisseur. What do you think, you shaggy mutt? Let's see if Mom can give you a little bath today. I think it's time. I think you've been dusty long enough. Who's your favorite author? What's your favorite book? Favorite author? I don't know. My favorite book, yeah. So this is something that I don't know if you've been around long or whatever, but I always try and explain this to people, and I'm not trying to be dense about it. I don't categorize my life into favorites. Like, I have a pretty broad range of interests, and it's pretty rare for me to go like, this is my favorite X. Especially when it comes to art and stuff. Like, it's hard for me to like pick my favorite book of all time. I always tell people it's Hatchet by Gary Paulson. It's on, like, I think the 4th grade curriculum. But that is a story that, it's been a couple of years since I read it. I try and read it, on average once a year. So I should probably pick up Hatchet again. But I really like that. I really like that story a lot. And that is one of the books that I attribute to kind of like sparking my love of reading books. That PragerU assessment about the LA fires was bananas. What percentage of teachers are dedicated to teaching the kids versus the ones who just see a paycheck? In my experience, and this is entirely anecdotal, but I did work for the school district for 8 years. In my experience, and this is, I think a credit to teachers, I would, if I were having to assess that, I would put the percentage pretty low of teachers who don't give a fuck. They're there, they exist. I'm definitely not going to tell you I didn't know any teachers who didn't give a fuck, but the vast majority of teachers that I worked with were trying their best. They were giving 110% to try and make education good for the kids. So that's all I can say about that. You have any love for blood sports? Blood sports? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about blood sports. Didn't they just end something with the education? What? I don't support either side of the Israel-Palestine conflict. I'm a one-state solution guy. I think the UN should immediately send a peacekeeping force there and establish an interim government and start the horrible business of sorting out the bodies and then rebuilding the area, and then establishing and cementing a blended state that respects people despite national origin and religion of choice. And then, many years in the future, when they're ready to take the mantle of a country, we allow the people to have a free and open election within a coalition government, and we slowly but surely turn over that country to a new blended society, a group of people who are no longer bound by ancient sectarian hatred of one another, and, we move forward. That's the only solution I see to the ongoing conflict in that area. And shockingly, amongst conservatives and liberals, it's a pretty unpopular opinion. The one state solution thing tends to inspire kind of like derision from both sides of the aisle, because it actually solves what is just a really useful ongoing conflict, politically speaking.
Well, also, like, the term one state solution gives people a different impression off the bat. Like, some people interpret that as just letting Israel take over everything.
Right. No. I'm talking about a coalition government.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, that's why some people have, like, an initial pushback.
Yeah.
Because if you say one state solution,
they're thinking one or the other.
Yeah.
They're thinking, oh, that means Hamas takes over. Oh, that means Israel just takes over the whole thing. No. That means we establish a modern democracy in that area that has respect for people, no matter what their religious and national background is. That's the only way you don't have constant bloodshed and genocide in that region being fucking endlessly subsidized by my tax dollars. Why does every president of the U.S. get a big old library for themselves?
Because it's a way to funnel money.
Yeah, it's a way to spread some money around your hometown.
Like, Mark Zuckerberg settled the lawsuit with Trump by donating $25 million to his library.
The Trump library.
So I think it's really just a way to, like, funnel money. Oh, donate to my library rather than paying me directly.
Yeah. Thoughts on the Department of Education and it being abolished potentially? I'm in favor. The Department of Education has presided over the greatest reduction in the quality of education in American history. Like, we're now producing generations of kids who are learning less and have less opportunity than their parents for the first time in American history. So, as far as I am concerned, the modern Department of Education and the edicts that have been passed and enforced through it, like No Child Left Behind and Common Core, have done nothing but strip individualized instruction out of education and replace it with conformist uniformity, measure every fucking child by the same blunt measuring stick bullshit.
And don't forget the taxpayer-funded abstinence-only education.
And a bunch of other bullshit.
I don't know if the DOE was directly presiding over that program, but...
Well, their hands are in it.
Yeah.
It's funding. It's educational funding that comes federally, so it passes through their halls. If they get abolished, does that mean student loans disappear? I don't know what the immediate consequences of the Department of Education being closed down are going to be. I guess we're going to have to see.
Yeah. I mean, the student loan thing is interesting because there's an argument to be made that it's pushed college tuition higher.
Well, yeah.
Because they think, well, everyone's going to get approved for a big
Right,
loan.
so it's just, pad it out then. It's much easier to tell somebody, oh, you're going to pay this off over the next 30 years of your life.
Yeah.
And get them to sign a big, giant fucking loan. It's
Like,
predatory.
you only have to pay this much up front because the government's going to cover the rest.
Yeah, it's predatory. It's bullshit.
Because they could never sell the tuition rates they're charging now just with no, like, subsidization.
Yep. I agree, but I feel like abolishing it might make the situation more decentralized and worse. Yeah, I mean, decentralization is one of the things that needed to happen, though, because not every child is the same. Not every community of children has the same needs. Like, I just happen to come from an area that's a great example of this, right? I come from an area that, if you go by the census, is about 60% Hispanic. If you go outside of the census and you take into account migrant workers and undocumented people, you're talking more like 75%. That means that, like, of the children that go to public schools in that area, a lot of them are what they call ESL children, English second language children, right? They require specific instruction to become fluent in English and to be brought up to speed in that area so that they can benefit from school going forward.
And they're not going to test super well
And
on the
they're
standardized tests.
they're always going to test horrible on the standardized test. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It means that they have not received the intervening Americanized education in English up until that point in their life. And what you're saying is wad those children up and throw them away.
And tying their funding to those test scores is retarded.
I worked at a school called Millview Elementary School in Madera, and that school was highly reliant on a federal funding called QUIA. I don't remember what the acronym is for, QUIA. But that funding, that QUIA funding, was determined by their test scores, and they were given that QUIA funding because they had a profound amount of English second language kids. But when the federal standards for Common Core were pushed through, Millview did not meet the minimum standard for QUIA funding, and so they punished a school that was already rural and underfunded by removing its federal QUIA grant. So, in order to make it a better school, turning out people more fluent in English and more capable of passing standardized tests, the answer that the Department of Education and the federal government had was to strip their funding.
And schools put weird incentives on those test scores too. Like, I volunteered, like, during my lunches to, like, read to special ed kids, and I overheard the teacher saying, like, my pay's never going to go up because they make these kids that are severely, mentally behind take the same tests.
Yeah.
And my pay is based on their test scores.
Right. The standardized education thing has murdered education. You've watched class sizes just since my generation go from 15 to 20 to over 40. The class sizes when I left my school district job were 40 to 1. Average. 40 kids to one teacher.
And those teachers' pay has not kept up, so you get more teachers quitting and then more inexperienced teachers.
You get the federal government telling you that a certain proportion of your funding, no matter what, has to be spent on things like technology, right? And so you've got millions and millions of dollars locked up for quote unquote technology in a district that desperately needs more teachers and more class space. What good is a row of shiny computers if there's 50 fucking kids in a class?
What's good about sending them home with Chromebooks if they might not even have home internet?
It's like the thought process is completely and utterly backwards. And these federal edicts and federal programs have failed at producing a generation or two now of literate people. So I'm not going to weep one single tear for the Department of Education being shut down. Not one.
No, it's going to require a lot of work from parents.
It's going to require a lot of work from parents, and it's going to require a different idea about education at the state level. Because these southern states are going to skimp.
Yeah, so parents in those areas, they're going to have a lot more on their plate with advocating for their kids.
Yep.
But they should be involved with their kids.
100%. 100%.
Education.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Do I think it's the greatest thing that ever happened? No. Am I going to weep one salty tear for the federal regulatory agency that oversaw the illiterization of 2 generations of Americans? Nope. Nope. I worked in that fucking environment way too long and saw way too much about how education works for you to change my mind. I saw millions of dollars just appropriated away to things that weren't building classrooms and hiring teachers at a time when there was a humongous crisis in class size. It's a joke. I saw administrators driving around town in Mercedes-Benz. I saw principals pulling up to school in their $80,000 coupe. And I saw kids sitting in classrooms with 45 other kids. There's absolutely nothing that you could ever do to change my fucking mind on education. The entire system needs to be gutted and rethought. The abject failure. 60% of people can't read a fucking Harry Potter book. Read at a 4th grade level or below. Unreal. Talking about a wave of ignorance, a tide of ignorance. It's washing over this country. You look at what's going on in this country, all the craziness, all the bullshit. What's to blame other than an uninformed populace? A populace that is just so incapable of communicating on a human level that they can't react properly. They don't understand anything that's going on anymore. Easily led. Worcestershire sauce. That's how I've always said it. Worcestershire sauce. That's how I say it. That ain't how it's said. You don't say Worcestershire. Worcester? What? Well, I hate to tell you this, buddy, but it's Worcestershire sauce over here. It's Worcestershire sauce. Hand me the Worcestershire. Excuse me, could you pass me over the Worcestershire sauce? I'm going to need a little bit more Worcestershire on this. This right here needs a little bit more Worcestershire on it. Anyway, I'm out of here. Get out of my face.